What is up, folks? This is Johnny Bnq Gibbiting coming back at you with another episode of the Bnq and Goof show. A lot I want to talk about today. Before we get into that, make sure you hit the like button. More importantly, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you don't mind, go into the description, check out the blog, check out all of our other social media pages and things of that nature, and check them all out. Check out our merch store. We still got some cool stuff in there. Getting into it, first things first, last night, good win for the Philadelphia Union over Chicago Fire. They played, Chicago Fire, beat them 1-0. Not exactly like it. Last season we beat them like 5-0, 5-1, some sort of big blowout score like that, 4-1 maybe. It doesn't matter exactly the score, but you get my point. So, but still a good win. Still, I'm pretty sure number one in the MLS. So hopefully things go as smoothly for them this season as they did last season. And and of course you want to do a little better, getting winning the championship instead of runner up this year. But moving on, the combine, the NFL combine just ended. So now our focus moves towards what guys are we looking to see the Eagles draft this upcoming April, next month. Who are they going to draft next month? Next month? I don't know. All right, I'm not going to lie. I don't know exactly what day the draft is on. I would have to look that up. I'm pretty sure it's next month. It's always in April, right? Am I bugging? Doesn't matter. Forget about that. Forget about that part. The point is, we're going to kind of look into the guys I think that they might be looking at, the guys they might want to pick. Before we get into that, the biggest, before we get into who specifically they'll pick, you got to think about what positions they'll really be looking at. We have 2 picks in the first round. One of them's a higher pick. I can't remember exactly what number picks they are off the top of my head. I mean, obviously one of them's pretty low because we went to the Super Bowl, so it's like the 31st or something, the 30th or whatever. I think the number one, there's really, I guess there's probably about, it depends on a couple of things of what the real number one priority is. And those couple of things are obviously, of course, free agency. We've got, if you're an Eagles fan, you've obviously seen on Twitter, it's very vague, but it's starting to look more and more like C.J. Gardner-Johnson is not coming back next season, which is a super, super big bummer. People will know. No, he instantly became one of my favorite players this season. He spent only 1 year with the Eagles, but instant fan favorite. The best safety in the league, I think, hands down last year. I would have loved to have him back. I would have loved to have him in Philly forever. But, I guess nothing's like concrete, at least as far as I know. But, it's looking that he's not coming back, and that's a real big loss for the team. And not only that, there's no guarantee that Darius Slay will be coming back. I think James Bradbury might be a free agent. I'll admit I'm not really 100% sure about him. But, that could... We had one of the best secondaries in the league last year. Again, the guy I think is the best safety in the NFL last year. So losing, possibly 1 or 2 or, however many of those guys could be a real big blow to our defense. Because the biggest, we led the league in sacks last year. Well, I don't know if we led, but we were in 1 or 2. I'm pretty sure we were number 1, but that's not entirely relevant right now. The point is, the reason we were able to get a lot of those sacks was because we had great coverage on the back end by the DBs, safeties, corners, locking guys down, making the quarterback hold on to the ball, letting our guys, beat the blockers and get to the quarterback. And, it doesn't matter how good a pass rusher is if the guys are wide open and the quarterback can just get the ball out of his hands immediately. So, you got to have good defense on the back end. That's, just obvious, especially in today's, day and age of, quarterbacks and aerial. I don't know the word I'm looking for. Advanced aerial attacks. The modern NFL is pass heavy. That's kind of what I was going for. So it's very important to have good defenders in the defensive backfield. So, and again, we're not 100% sure how much these guys were getting back. It'd be great if 100% of them came back, and then defensive back wouldn't really be an area of need in the draft at all. But if one or all of these guys leave, then that makes it, I think, our number one priority. And I'm going to be real honest, I don't know a whole lot about who the top end guys are, as far as safeties and corners in the draft. So I'm not really going to get too specifically into. I want to research a little bit more and see, who the top guys are. Plus, I don't really want to be honest, put in the work to see, who would be the best corner for us to take. And then it turns out Slay comes back. Who's his best safety to take? It turns out CJ, is able to come back. And again, but I don't, we don't know these things. But, so that kind of can go either way depending on where, who gets re-signed and who doesn't. So, but like I'm saying, I think that will be our number one priority if no one comes back. And there's really not it's kind of hard to say really assuming they come back or assuming DB isn't the number one priority. It's hard to really think of a gaping hole in the, roster. I know Miles Sanders isn't coming back. I'm pretty sure that was confirmed a while back. And, people, say what you want about it. He was a Pro Bowler last year. He was, one of the best backs in the league. If you just look at his production in the regular season, I know he didn't really do all that much in the Super Bowl and in the playoffs, but, it's going to be hard to get a back better than him, I think, unless we get, a big guy in free agency, which I think I've heard Dalvin Cook's name brought up with us a couple times. I don't know if there's any substance to that or if it's just wild speculation on some people's part. I haven't seen anything really tangible that would really make me think that that's a serious option for, us. But, running back would be probably the number one position other than corner or safety that I think that we need to target in the draft. Just from my observation, I guess that those would be the top guys. Again, when you have a really solid roster, top to bottom, like the Eagles do, and again, this is, not knowing 100% who's going to be coming back. Of course, Javon Hargraves, if he leaves, we'll need a defensive lineman, and that will be another top priority to get, some more pass rushers and more, guys that can beef up the interior line, which, that was a problem too. But I think that, assuming that we lose at least one of the guys, either Slay or C.J. Gardner-Johnson, then I would say with those two picks, probably we're looking, DB, one pick, running back with the other. But really, again, I don't know what the kind of field is for those positions this year. I mean, like I saw some of the combine, I didn't see everything, so as we get closer to the draft, I'm planning on really researching more, those combine results, watching some tape of some of these guys and seeing really who are the top end prospects, at those needed positions, I think. Because even if there's somebody, even if there's a need at that position, if there's not somebody worth taking in a first round, then, we shouldn't take them. We should get maybe, another wide receiver. I mean, and another wide receiver wouldn't hurt. I know we got A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, and those two guys are both great. Some of the best, wide receivers in the league. And Quez Watkins, he's good. He's a good 3 guy. But if we get another really solid third, some just more weapons. My point is more weapons is never going to hurt, and we're never going to turn that down. So. And as far as Other positions I think we need to look out for the draft, not just in the first round, offensive linemen. One of our biggest issues last year was our offensive lineman, health. Jason Kelsey, he announced retirement. He's kind of walked it back. I think I saw on his podcast a little bit. I don't know if he's going to retire. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. Either way, he's going to be retiring. You got to think within the next couple of years if he's not, sticking to the retirement now. So it's going to be important to find him, a replacement, sometime within the next couple of years. So, but again, that's probably stuff for later in the draft, not really first round stuff. We could also look at, of course, defensive line depth. I think we're pretty solid. I think we got a pretty solid linebacker core. If there's like a can't miss prospect in the first round, maybe get him. But, again, depending on how I'm thinking free agency, I'm thinking CJ is gone, unfortunately. I'm thinking Slay might come back. I heard Brandon Graham took a pay cut, so that could help. That will help things a lot. That was a really selfless move by him. But yeah, my assumption is that our top two needs in the draft is going to be a running back and a defensive back. So I don't know who those guys will be. Like I said, this isn't really my draft predictions yet. I'm going to probably put one of those out closer we get to the draft, maybe the weekend before the draft or something. So, but yeah, I think those are the needed positions. And I won't, like I said, I wasn't really going to mention anyone specific that I think we should get in the draft. But there is one guy I had my eye on in the draft that I think would be a really solid 4th, 5th round pick if we, he'd be a steal at those rounds. I mean, that's probably where he's going. His draft stock might have, increased since the combine. I'm talking about Bryce Ford Williams. I don't know the guy's name. It's Bryce Ford something. That's either his last name or his first and the first half of his last name. I'm not 100. It's Bryce Ford something. I don't know. A wide receiver, West Virginia. You know who the guy is. I can't believe I don't remember his name off the top of my head. Because I watched him play in college a lot. But anyway, he had an incredible combine. A great vertical leap, incredible 40 time. And, a lot of his measurables as far as those drills and, of course, height and weight really stack us up to DK Metcalf, who, of course, is, a great wide receiver for the Seahawks. One of the top, I would say he's probably a top 10 receiver, top 15 at least. So, you're looking at him and maybe, we could get that similar sort of guy and then he could be that number 3 guy on the receiving core. Of course, you never know. Just because a guy's measurables are good doesn't mean he can really play in the league. And, he didn't have super duper great production in college. But, that could just be, WVU doesn't really have superstar quarterbacks. Their coach is kind of a clown. So, he kind of screws things up. No, I don't want to go in on Neil Brown. That's kind of necessary. But, he didn't have superhuman production in college. That's why he wasn't really a highly touted draft pick until his combine. So he could be a bust. You never know. There's been some WVU wide receivers have been a bust recently, like Kevin White. I don't really like calling him a bust because, he was injured and never really got a chance to play. But anyway, I just think it'd be interesting to get him if he's available late in the draft, But anyway, that's all I got for today. Kind of a longer episode today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up, and thanks for subscribing. If you didn't do that, then well, you're a jerk. Now, am I joking when I say that? Maybe. Point is, thanks for listening. Let's go Eagles. Let's go Sixers.